Like I don't like it to be like, Anyway, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the State ERAP RSC programs training / roundtable today. We have the PowerPoint slide. I hope everyone can see it on the screen here. These State ERAP RSC programs are administered by Office of Policy, Research, and Housing Programs at the Department of Housing. So we go under director, who is Michael Santoro. I want to introduce this slide to all of you. That is, go back to the history of what is ERAP and RSC. This information is always on our website, DOH website. If you whenever have doubt, you can always go on to our website and look up information. But here it is. On DOH website, we have the programs. Under programs, we list them down, and these two programs are listed there as well. So ERAP, back in 1997, the legislation, create this program to help, providing rental subsidy to the elderly who live in the state elderly housing projects that they might live with, as we call fixed income. They might not have enough to, rent, pay all the rent. So at that time, the state had seen the needs that we should come in and help them with that. So statutorily linked, you can click here, and then, it's going to take you to the statute where they establish these programs. Same as the RSC, the links are here, and here you can, I might not want to go in and, show you everything in details, because you can always go in and, click in. But for example, if I click that link, it will take you right straight to this section 8-119 KK, rental assistance for elderly person residing in state assisted rental housing for elderly regulations. That's where it would take you. Okay. Then same as the RSC here, it would take you straight to the section 8-114D, RSC resident service coordinators. So when you have question about that, you can go back and look at that. And then objective of this training, I would like so much to get us all on the same page, because I understand that we have a turnover in the organizations. Maybe people left, people retire, and you have new staff, both side management and staff. We have a lot of new executive directors started, in the last few years. We have new staff come in all the time. And somehow, if you miss the history of the program, you might not, know or get all the full picture of the program, how it started, and how we, what the process in this. So an objective of the program itself, like I said, ERAP program, they created it to provide rental subsidy to the elderly who lives in the state assisted housing, which is the elderly projects. And for the RSC program, the state provided the grant to help the housing providers, which are all of you, housing providers, to provide a resident service coordinator to the residents. Because, most of the elderly programs, elderly projects, sometimes the residents need help in just to connect to the service that they needed, starting from like transportation or any document or service that have, out there for them, they didn't know how to get there, or even just like for their own prescriptions, to get the prescription, sometimes they would need help. I used to go to the training that RSC need to go in and help elderly who had like, their dining table, almost like one quarter of the tables filled with the bottles of all the medications. Sometimes they need help to look at them, what they really need, what they don't, so all of those services. Okay, I still have people trying to come in. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry, John. Please tell Loris that if she cannot join the link, she might want to call in and she can listen. And then she would have to go back in and look at the PowerPoint later. So let's talk about ERAP first, if you don't mind, because in these two programs, I have about 44 participants or entities that are receiving ERAP, but then I have about 60 that are receiving RSC. Not all of the entities that receive ERAP have their RSC. So like I said, we want to have this session today to get everyone on the same page in how we do these programs. So ERAP, like I said, administered by DOH, we are the one who kind of like provide subsidy. We look at your ERAP rent roll to provide this assistance to the resident who has to pay more than 30% of their income towards rent. And sometimes as you can see in your portfolio, that some of them really do need help. But unfortunately, we cannot help everyone. For the last, I'd say about 10 years, that the state had capped the amount of funding that they provide to us, DOH, to pass down to you guys. So back then, we really could not allow housing provider to even extend the grants, extend the subsidy out to new residents, or even current resident then that need subsidy. So we still, but the objective of the program is really to help people who had to pay more than 30% of their income towards rent. So one of the process that is needed and important for ERAP is that we ask you to send us the ERAP tenant certification, annual certification, and tenant rent roll. These documents, in the next slide, we will see, we have provided the document to you, but it's under assistance agreement that each of you who are receiving these grants, you have the master assistance agreement with us, with the state through us, DOH. So I hope, or I would like to recommend you to go back to look at your assistance agreement with the state. If you have one, if you don't, please contact me, email me. I can give you a copy of the, we call it master assistance agreements, which laid out all the agreements that we have between the state and the housing provider about this program. On the assistance agreement, it will list the name of the projects, how many units that would be receiving the grant, the subsidy. So I would suggest you all to go back to look at your master assistance agreement. So we have the master assistance agreement in place, but in that agreement, we would not renew it. It's like a contract, right? But we will not renew it every year. We put it aside as a master. But each year, to continue receiving the grant, we ask you to send in the annual certification and rent roll that you would do every year, right? When you recertify the tenants. And in that recertification, it has a rent roll that you would list down all the tenants who are in need of ERAP, and then you will send that to us. But then before you send the rent roll to DOH, this one you might, I put it on the PowerPoint, but you might want to make note too that all of you, almost all of you, only a few exceptions, you would send your annual operating budget to your asset manager at CHFA, right? I hope everyone that have this program know that you would send the operating budget to asset manager at CHFA, and then the asset manager look at your numbers, all the budget, everything, line items, everything, and they approve your budget. That will include your base rent increase too. If anyone was looking to have base rent increase in your property, you would work that out with your asset manager at CHFA, because they would be the one who look at all of your budget line items and everything and see how you are operating, income and expenses, everything. Then they would approve your budget. And if they approve your base rent increase, that would go down on the rent roll. And then in the rent roll, it will reflect the the amount of rent that the resident will pay. So that when you increase the base rent, that might increase the ERAP subsidy. So you want to put that on the rent roll. And once you send that in to me, I would see that, oh, okay, asset manager at CHFA already approved the budget. Then I can approve the ERAP rent roll according to the availability of the grant that we have from the state. Oh, one more thing. In the assistance agreement, it asks all of you to submit the rent roll 60 days before the start of state fiscal year. If you don't know, state fiscal year start on July 1 and on June 30th. So you would submit the rent roll 60 days before July 1. So we say May 1, start May 1st, you should send in your rent roll. So Penny has question.
Thank you, Paula. Can you go back to the ERAP increase in the budget that they submit to us asset managers for review and approval? So historically, I believe that we have, when there's been a request in base rent and it affects ERAP residents, historically we've asked them to go back to you first to confirm that there is money available, because we feel like there's just a lot of back and forth if they submit the budget to us first and then go back to you. So do you want them, so I just want to confirm the process. Do you want them to propose a rent increase, a base rent increase to us first, and then we go back to you? Or do you want them to reach out to you first before they finalize the budget or propose the budget?
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you. I did not know that they would go to you and come back to us. But from what I have been told is that the housing provider will work with CHFA on the numbers. And then if you, while working together between CHFA and the housing provider, if you are not sure about the availability of the fund, you can contact us, and then we will let you know. Or it is to make it like not too confusing. This go back to when Christina Coy used to be program manager, because Christina look at everything, all the numbers, all the budget, and also manage the program. So maybe that was, kind of like CHFA have more information, and then Christina can look at everything at the same time. But now things change because I don't look at the budget, so I would rely on CHFA to look at the budget.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I just wanted to make sure that we had a process. So the process going forward for us will be, we'll receive the budget with the ERAP increase proposed, with the base rent proposed.
Right.
And then we will, if there's an increase in the ERAP as well, then we will go to you for confirmation.
Right. Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure that I was clear on that, and then the team was clear on that.
Okay.
Thank
Yep. So everyone, if you make notes, that's how we're gonna do. You go to CHFA with the proposed base rent increase, and then CHFA will confirm with DOH, and then they approve the budget. So when you come to me for subsidy, I would be able to approve that, knowing that CHFA have already seen your budget and approved your budget. Is that good?
That works. Paula, do you want
Okay.
to see when CHFA contacts you regarding the increase
Mm-hmm.
for available funding, do you want us to include a copy of the budget so you can see it, or is that not relevant to you?
No, that's not necessary for me. You can
Okay.
just contact me, email me to let me know that they propose this much increase, and I will just check my number. If I have enough, I let you know. I mean, I
Very
check
good.
my number and I confirm with you that it's okay to do.
Okay,
Then
very
we
good.
can go
Thank you for the
ahead.
clarification.
Yep. So then back to when to submit the ERAP enroll. Starting May 1, you should send in the ERAP enroll for DOH to look at. I don't know, how or when you submit your budget for CHFA to approve. But for the ERAP enroll, we have assistance agreement to say that you should come in by May 1. If you have reason to delay or, working on it and, need more time, you can always contact me and let me know that, you're working on it and it is coming in, because most of the time the ERAP, because it's the rent subsidy, you as housing provider will be the one that need to receive money sooner than later. If you want to receive the subsidy sooner, you should make sure that you get your budget and ERAP enroll approved quicker. You'll be surprised if I tell you that sometimes I don't receive the ERAP enroll until like half a year gone by, like what did you do with the first half that you didn't receive all the money, Penny?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I keep raising my hand. I can speak to that because some of the, I would say a large majority of the budgets are a January 1st budget. So their budgets are due to us by October 31st for review. So there's the half year that you're thinking about. So I'm wondering how the best way to handle that. So is the best way to handle that, let them, when they submit a 1/1 budget, have the properties, the owners, keep the base rent from 1/1 to maybe June 1, and then propose an increase effective July 1 to December. So if you all remember in the workbook on the budget breakdown tab, there's enough room, there should be enough room for you to break down the base rent from 1/1 to 6/1 as, and 6 months, and then the next 6 months is the increase. I hope I explained that well. And Paula, do you have any other suggestions?
Yeah, to support that, Penny, I also would like to let you know that that is the way to go too, because oftentimes I received ERAP rent roll from you guys to come in to receive the first half, because this is back to the master assistant agreement too, that ERAP make a payment to you guys twice, semi-annually. So we would make payment for the first half of the grant to cover the month of July to December. So for example, if you are approved $20,000 for the whole year for ERAP, we would pay the first 6 months that covered July to December. So then we pay 10,000, and then come January to June, we pay another half for the second half of the fiscal year. But then the number might change because you have the base rent increase starting January 1. So instead of receiving first 10,000, but then your ERAP subsidy increased to 22,000, you will receive the rest of the grant, which is 12,000 instead of 10. Did I make it clear? So on that note, I would like to ask you if everyone knows that you received your ERAP grant already for this year, because we are already into the third quarter of the fiscal year. Wonder if you all know that you have received your subsidy or not. So, back to confirm Penny's question just now, that if you want to, or you have to submit your budget to CHFA for October 1, you said?
October 31st is the due date for a 1/1 budget.
Yeah. So if you need to do that with CHFA, you can, but then to submit your rent roll to DOH by May 1 to receive the grant starting July 1, you can submit that budget with your existing rent amount, and then you can send in the revised rent roll after you get your budget approved by CHFA for January 1. You can prepare the rent roll that reflects the increase of the rent of the base rent, and you can come in for the revised rent roll to be approved to get the increased amount of the subsidy. Okay. So for the ERAP program, I want to, if you look at the slide, together with as we go on, when the state first created the ERAP program, they have put, set up the fund to give to a rent subsidy to the resident who needs the help. But then about, I say 10 years ago, when the state kind of like got, problem with the budget, so we have to cut down because DOH do not receive as much. And it said this in the assistance agreement that DOH will be able to provide subsidy to all the housing provider in accordance with the availability of the fund provided by the state. So if the state don't have as much to provide, they cut down, DOH would be able to give you just from what we have. So because of that, the state budget had made us kind of like sorry, I thought I muted everyone. No? Okay, so we don't have that voice coming. Anyway, back to what I was saying is that because of the state budget make us not able to allow all the housing providers to provide ERAP to all of the residents that need the subsidy. So back then, we would send out the notice to ask you to stop filling the ERAP spot at turnover. Meaning if you have the current resident who were receiving ERAP, say for the 40 unit projects, you have 25 residents who were receiving ERAP. But at that time, when we didn't have enough money, those 25 slot that you got for ERAP, if the tenant move out, like pass away or move out of the project, so 3 move out, you have 22 left. Back then, we told you that you have to eliminate those 3. You cannot refill the spot. So that's why in the past 10 years, you saw that the number of the ERAP recipients had gone down because that was according to the budget. But back in 2022, Michael had been able to help us secure the funding that we were able to kind of like keep keep the funding at the level that we could maintain the ERAP number of ERAP recipients. You know, we don't have to like keep cutting down. So we sent out this notice to all of you in July of 2021, which was the state 2022 fiscal year. I'm so sorry, these numbers kind of sometimes make people confused because, like I said, the state fiscal year starts July 1 and June 20th. And then the way we call the state budget, we call the ending year. So these went out in July of 2021, but it's the state budget 2022, state fiscal year 22. So in that notice that we sent out, we told you all that once you have the move out of ERAP recipient, you don't have to eliminate that anymore. You can replace that spot at turnover. So I think I have explained this to many of you who contact me directly about this. You know, so the meaning of this was you can maintain the same amount, the same level of subsidy, the same amount of the people that receive ERAP in your project. For example, if this year you have 10 people that receive ERAP, and then by, during the year, 2 had moved out, you don't have to cut those 2 and maintain 8. You can refill those 2 and keep it the level at 10. So we try to secure that funding to still be able to support those 2 ERAP recipients. But to do that, the condition is we ask you to replace those spots only with the resident who are current resident. That means these tenants, these residents have been living in your project and they always needed help with rent. But because we were not able to allow you to increase the number of people to come in to receive ERAP, so you might have more people that living in your project that need ERAP that have been paying more than 30% of their income towards rent, but you could not give them ERAP in the past. Now, when these become available, you can give those 2 spots of ERAPs to the current resident who have been paying more than 30% and they need they need help with the rent. You can give those to them, but you have to put in your policy of the method, how you determine to pick those 2. You can go by these 3 methods by, like public lottery or seniority or the greatest need. So you as the management have to make decision and put in your policy which one that you choose to go by. Maybe you choose the one that has the greatest need, that person that, have the least to provide or to pay rent, you go to that person and the next person, or you can just do the random lottery, or you can go by you can go by seniority. Seniority mean the time of the person that have been in the project, doesn't mean the age of the tenant, right? So just we ask you to let us know which method that you choose to go by, and then you can keep the ERAP subsidy for them. So in the slide, we'll explain a little bit about the process of how when you submit the rent roll, how they got approved by CHFA, and then DOH approved the ERAP subsidy, and the time frame of when you submit them. In the next slide, we had the slide number 6. We have all of these documents that you would like to go in and look at. For example, the master assistant agreement, that is just a template. We put it. All of these documents you can find in, you can link from here. And it will take you into the DOH website on the program page. So when you click the link on the slide, you go into DOH website, right onto the ERAP program page. And from that page, you can see all of the links to these documents that I was talking about, the notice. You can see, oh, the notice is not here. I'm sorry, I apologize. The master agreement, you can see it from there. That is the template. It's just a blank agreement. You can see the language. But if you want to see the assistance agreement between your project, your organization with DOH, you can email me directly. I can give you a copy. In here, we also have the link to the rent calculation worksheet. When you calculate rent for each residence, you can use this form. And then this is the certification and tenant rent roll with the formula. With the formula means Excel spreadsheet, right? When you go in, when you prepare the rent roll, you go in, you will fill the columns, you know, with the unit number, the age of the tenant. The age of the tenant on the rent roll is important because we keep track of the age of the recipients, because we keep track of the elderly and the young disabled. So please make sure that you put in the age of the tenant. And then you put the income. Once you put the tenant's income in the base rent amount and the tenant income, the formula will calculate for you how much, you know, rent or ERAP subsidy that people, each person will receive or would need. So you can use the form from here. ERAP request for payment form, you can go get it from here too. Like I said, ERAP makes 2 payments a year, you know, each 6 months. The first 6 months is July to December. You can come in with, after your certification and tenant rent rolls was approved by DOH, you know how much ERAP subsidy you will receive. You can come in with the request for payment to request the first half of the subsidy. And then the next one, second half, you come in January to get the rest of the grant. So ERAP only twice. So now we, because we already into the, quarter of 11, we go into RSC program. If you have any question for both ERAP, RSC, I think we will still have a little time at the end that you can, you know, keep asking questions if you have any question about today. So as I told you in the email before, that we would start this session with ERAP program, and then after we talk about ERAP, now we go into RSC. RSC, I have noticed what happened lately was the turnover of the staff, both management and staff in the program. And a lot of you might not know the time frame of the program, when to submit the report, what to submit in the beginning of the year, when to submit the request for payment, you know. So we might talk about it a little bit here. The RSC program purpose when they create this program is to provide grant to the housing provider. The grant is to be used to hire RSC, not to be used for the activities, not to be used for the together luncheon or bingo night or field trip or anything like that. No, not for activities. RSC grant is to be used just to pay for the salary and fringe benefits for the RSC position. And then this grant would be calculated by the number of units that you have in your properties, which is the number of elderly housing units that are eligible for RSC assistance. So I use the number of all the participants and calculated factor in the amount of the grant that we received from the state. And it came out to tell me the amount of the subsidy, how much you will receive for your property. If you have smaller number of units. So you have one property with 25 units, you receive so much. But if you have two property equal to 80 units, the amount will go accordingly. So when to hire RSC, how we have this information on the website. The website has the guidebook. Of this. When you go into the website and click the link, it takes you to the resident service, ISC program page. And from there, all of these links, provide you information. And also there is the resident service coordinator resource guidebook here that will tell you, the purpose and the duties and the benefits and everything about RSC. That also include RSC job description and responsibility. We also have one here too, if you don't want to go through the guidebook, but I recommend that you do. So job description and responsibility of the RSC posted here on the DOH website. Whenever you need to hire an RSC or whenever you need to delegate or assign tasks to RSC, you can go in here and look what they're supposed to do. Or and RSC themselves, they can go in and look too that what they can do, to provide what service, what help, but what they should do as an RSC. You can go in and look in here. Back to the slide. So that's what the RSC grant is for, to pay for salary and fringe benefits for RSC only. Now, we want to talk about the process of the RSC. Each year, again, fiscal year starts July 1. Each year by July 1, DOH will send out the award letter to the management to let you know. The award letter will be after I calculate the amount of subsidy, and I know how much you would get. I will send the award letter out to let you know how much your property will get for RSC for that fiscal year. And then when you receive the award letter, normally it will come with the management plan. Penny?
Hi, Paula. Yes, there's a couple people in the chat asking about the grant money. Let me just read that for you.
Okay.
Devin's saying, just to be clear, whatever the grant amount is should be the actual salary we pay. In other words, does the grant dictate the salary?
Okay. Okay. Good question. Thank you. I have got this question before. So the answer to that is no. The grant amount is not the total amount of salary. The salary of the RSC is according to what the housing provider, what the management agree with the RSC. You will be the management will be the one who make decision when you hire the RSC, how much you will pay, how many hours the RSC would work in your property, what responsibility you want the RSC to do, how much. It's just up to the two of you. The state cannot make that decision for you. You make decision, but the grant will go as a portion towards the RSC salary. Okay, so you might have, for example, you might have 3 projects in your portfolio, but only one that is the state assisted elderly housing. So only that project is eligible for RSC, and that project might have 40 units. That's the only one that you will get the grant. But you want RSC to support all 3 of them, all 3 of the projects. So these grant might be able to pay for 15 hours a week for RSC, but you want RSC to work 40 hours a week. So the 25 hours would come from your reserve. So the housing provider will be responsible for, anything that beyond the grant, exceed the grant.
Is there a per unit? Is there a per unit number?
When
Kathleen is asking,
yeah, when I calculate the grant, I calculate per number of units. That's why sometimes you ask me, why do I receive only this much? Can I get more? Can I get more subsidy? I said, no, you can, because I have to calculate it by per what the state give us, the availability of the fund, and then I divide it by the total state assisted units. That's why you receive only that much. But if you need the RSC to work more, or you need to pay more for RSC to work for you, the housing provider would have to come up with the difference.
And can you confirm that there is no new money for RSCs, just existing?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why we haven't been able to increase anything in the past many years, because we have such a fixed amount, and that's it. And I have to try to adjust it.
And what is the per unit? What is the per unit number that you use?
The most recent one that I have, it came down to about $215 per unit per year. Because I use the total, like I said, I have 60 projects in the program. So all the number of the units in the program total about 4,000 something. So if you have more number of units, you get bigger amount of the grant. But if you have less number, then it just go by per number of units.
Thank you.
Yep. So and then this will come to the back to the master agreement one more time. In the master agreement, it will list down your project numbers and the unit numbers, the number of total units that are eligible for the grant. So if your property in your portfolio change, for example, you have 2 buildings, one had to be taken down and you renovate, you rehab the building, and that reflects the number of units. It changed, it decreased, it have more. You need to let us know. I apologize for this. You might be working with the DOH staff on the development side when you do receiving grant or loan to do construction. That you might be working with one DOH staff, but it might not involve me, I might not be in the loop with that. So when that happened, I do not know what changed, what building got taken down, and how many total units you have at the end. So if you do not update me, if you do not let me know what changed, I will still keep going, calculating my grant with the same number that I had from before, unless you update me. Otherwise, I might find out after the fact. Sorry to say, I found out one project 2 years after the fact that the number of units changed, and I didn't know. So that brings us to the part of the master agreement. When I send out the award letter will be accompanied with the management plan. We call the management plan. As you might remember, that you have to sign the management plan sheet and send that back to me for Michael and the commissioner to sign. On that management plan, it has a number of units on the document itself. Go open it up for you. the management plan. Come on, open. You see my share screen that I try to click on the form and then they try to open the management plan for me. Yeah,
You have to
let
click
me
on the
bring it.
download. You have to click on, there it is.
Yeah, see, so on the management plan, when I send out with the award letter to let you know how much the amount, you know, how much money, how much grant you receive, this will be you know, contract number, which is mostly changed year by year. When I send out the contract number, it's just the update, the number of fiscal year. So like this year, when I send out in the beginning of the year, the contract number will start with 2024. That's to let us know that it's the 23-24 state fiscal year. And then the budget period, of course, is going to start with July 1 of that year, and then in June 30th of the following year. Sponsor name will be your name, you know, like blah, 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 housing authority, something like that. Number of units here, you need to pay attention. You know, that's what I would like to ask you to pay attention to, look at the number of units that I put on the management plan, if it's correct. You know, maybe I put, you know, 25 units because that's what it said in the assistance agreement all the time, but then you have something change. You took that building down, you rehab, and you build the new one, came to become like a 60 units. That you need to let me know, and then you need to update this number here before you sign it. You know, if you update the number of units and you come in to me, send this back to me, I have to go back to rework the number, you know, and then send back the management plan to you to see the update number before you sign and send back to me for Michael and commissioners signature or approval. Okay. So the management plan has 2 pages. The first one is the signature page. Second one is the Excel spreadsheet. You know, there are 2 pages. The Excel spreadsheet will tell you the amount that you would receive. So this is the second page of the management plan. Again, I put down the contract number, period, budget period, and the grant amount. So the grant amount is like it's spelled out for you here. That is all it had to be used for: salary, tax, fringe benefits. Sometime you would break down for me if you could. Sometimes you don't, because you would only use that amount of, say, 4,000 here for what you receive, and you can just say total not exceed grant awards here, 4,000. But the actual amount you pay to RSC, it could be different, right? Because you might be paying that RSC 20,000 a year, but you only receive 4,000 here from us. So you don't need to give, you know, the 20 here. You can just put the grant award amount here. If you contract out, there is a line here for you. If you contract out, you can just put the amount that you pay to the contract to the say you hire the some company from the RSC association, you know, not member, whatever, and you pay them that total amount of 4,000 here. That's all your grant that you pay to them. You can just put it down here. So bottom line is, the number that you put in this page will not be number that exceed the grant amount. That's all. But the actual amount you pay to RSC, that you will put in your book, you will put in your financial report, whatever, then the auditor will look at them later. So that explains the assistance agreement, the management plan that you will send to me. I send out the award letter with management plan first. You look at the management plan, you agree or not agree, you send back to me. If you agree, you just sign and send back. If you don't agree, you just, let me know why not. And then we work on it. Now come to the report part. In the assistance agreement, it required that the recipients supply DOH or supply the state with the report. So we always ask for the quarterly report and the year-end report from the recipients. The problem that I ran into is that after the management plan was signed and approved, the grant amount, I sent that letter to management to let you know that congratulations, your grant has been approved this much, blah, blah, blah. Please have your staff be familiar with the report's requirement that the report due 20 days after the end of the quarter, blah, blah, blah. But I found that the staff did not get that information. It stopped at management. And then management was not the one who sent me the report. So I got the report at any time of the year. I don't get the report at all sometimes. I get all the report at the end of the year, which kind of like not what we are asking for. So break it down. State fiscal year start July 1. So the Penny.
I'm sorry, I'm just watching the chat for you, so you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, thank you.
So the question was asked, if they take units offline to like demoing them or building new units, how does that affect the grant? Do you lose money? Do you gain money? So if you could speak to that quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Once the number of units change, I will recalculate the amount of the grant and I submit to Michael for approval. Michael will look at that and see see if he could, if the grant amount increase and we don't have any more fund available for RSC, like I told you guys, and I respond to Penny earlier, that each year we receive just a fixed amount from the state. So that's all the amount that I already, calculate and try to get out to all of you. But if you come in with the new number of the unit, that increased number, and that reflects the increment of the grant, I have to go ask for approval from above, and if they can find money, they would approve. They have to look for money somewhere that, they might be able to, and they approve that grant, and you guys will receive, the increased amount that you asked for. But like it said on the assistance agreement again, it's not guaranteed. The state can provide only what available. So even if you have the number of unit, more number of unit, but that year, if the state really cannot find money anywhere, you stay at the same level. But we would keep it in mind for the next year. Then we will prepare, to get money for you or try to get, more money for you. Might not be from RSC, from state, but, the boss might be able to look for other part of money that they can help. Did that answer the question?
Yes. And what if the number of units goes down because of taking units offline or demoing them?
Yeah, that will decrease the number of grants. So if you have two buildings, each 40 units, right? And then, well, it has like two categories. If you have two buildings and both are elderly housing, both eligible for ERAP and RSC, you receive that, but then one taken down. During that taken down, you have to relocate the residents. So, but the project is still within elderly housing. They still continue receiving the grant. Unless, the property had been changed, like maybe they receive money to take the one building down, but rebuild as tax credit or family housing, whatever, and that they will get the release from the state to release them off of the elderly project. If they got released, then they're gone. They are not eligible for these grants anymore because they are not in the state elderly housing portfolio. So the grants amount will go down.
Okay, so if the resident is relocated but still under the elderly program,
project.
it will not reduce. But if a unit goes offline or gets demoed and the units are not replaced, then
As the elderly.
then it will go down. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yep. So and for that, you know, when you have any change, any construction, any taken down of the project, or if you want to even sell that project to nonprofit or whatever, you will have to get the approval from the state. And I hope all of you know that you have to get the Section 8-60AC, you know, approval from the state to release you out of the portfolio. You have to get the release for that. Okay. Hope that helps. So, where are we? We are on the report, you know, it's a quarterly report. I was going to tell you that state fiscal year starts July 1, and then we break down to each quarter. So the first quarter will be July, August, September. That's the first quarter. End of September, you need to submit the first quarterly report, and you have 20 days to do that. So the first report due by October 20th, so 20 days after September 30th. That's the first quarter report. And then the second report will be October, November, December. End of December, you submit the second quarter report within 20 days. And then, you know, third quarter, January, February, March. So end of March, you will do another quarterly report. And, you know, I have to explain this maybe in detail a little bit because I received the report that like the report for the end of January or the report for end of May. I'm like, what quarter is that? Because, you know, sometimes I think maybe RSC did not understand how we count the quarter, or they confuse between the end of the quarter and the day the report due or something like that. And sometimes now we are in March. I got the report for the period ending May 2024. How did you get there already? You know, so something like that. Just want to explain that this is how we count the quarter. And then at the end of the year, June 30th, by end of June, you will do the fourth quarter report for April, May, June. So that due end of June within 20 days. And also at the end of fiscal year, you do the year-end narrative report, which is the narrative that you talk about the whole year, this past year, how the RSC grant helped you, what benefit, how important, how you want to keep it going. That will be the year-end report that deals July 31st. The year-end report we give you, 1 month after the end of fiscal year to submit. But every other quarter report, you have 20 days after the end of the quarter, to submit the report. We have the report form here for you. Again, this is a resource form. You can go in, because I noticed that I got the report in like different time and stuff like that. So we sent out, last year we sent out the notice to all of you. But again, the notice will go out to all of the management, because that's who I have the contact. that's who I have the list of email that I could send out. But it's up to the management to forward the information to the staff, to tell them when they need to send the report, how this is what explained about the report requirements. We sent this out in October last year because, like I said, I have received the report like all over the place, all throughout the year. So, I send this out to the management or the sponsor housing management, local housing authorities. So I would ask management to please forward the information to the staff who are, in charge or who are doing the work, so they know their obligation to submit report to us.
Okay, Paula has another chat
Mm-hmm.
question. So, someone asked what's report due date, and I said 7/31. That was the end of the year report, end of the year report, like the progress report, I guess.
Yes.
And then, someone asked, sometimes the accounting department tells us to request different dates on the reports. That question is unclear to me.
Request what?
I'm not sure, it's unclear. So maybe Christine, if you could unmute yourself and explain that question. Christine Garriga. Also, John has a question, presuming that the submission of the required reporting is a prerequisite to receipt of the grant payments.
Right. Okay, I think maybe I know what they're asking for. So the report, we ask you to submit at the end of the quarter, correct? But the state had the way to make it like, we ask you to request for the grant at the beginning of the quarter. Report due at the end of the quarter, but you request for the grant in the beginning of the quarter. So, for example, fiscal year start July 1. For the first quarter, once you receive the approved management plan and you know the approved amount of your grant, you send in the request for payment to draw down the grant in the beginning of the quarter. So July, August, September, you don't wait until September. You come in July to get money. You send in your request for payment, request for money in the beginning of quarter. So when you send in the request for July, in order to be able to recommend the approval for your grant to be drawn out, I look at your report from the previous years that you were in compliance of the report from the previous years, meaning you submit all the 4 quarter reports plus the year-end reports. But year-end report hasn't come in then. So even though we ask you to request the beginning of the year, but the first quarter will be a little tricky because state fiscal year starts July 1, but our business office is not able to make payment right away because the second half of June, from say June 10 to the end of June, is before the end of fiscal year. The business office closed because they give us the deadline to submit any request of payment before June 10. So then from June 10 to the end of June, they do work on like getting all the payment of that fiscal year out. So they don't accept any more requests. They try to pay out that year. So then state business office, they don't open again until sometime after July 1st, maybe July 5th or July 10th. That means they have to have everything else set up for the new fiscal year. They have to have the state allotments in and already put them in the pots ready to be paid. So even you request your grant on July 1, you will not get paid on July 1. You might not get paid until, like, say, the earliest July 15. But in this RSC case, because I have to receive your year-end report latest by July 31st. So the payment might not go out in July. Even you request in July, it might not go out until after August 1st, when I confirm that I received all of the report and you are in compliance, then I can recommend the first payment to go out by August. But then the following quarters, you know, you submit the request. The second quarter start October. You send in the request in October, but if I don't receive your first quarter report, which is from July, August, September, if you don't send me this report, even though you request the payment in October, you might not get the payment until I receive the report. So sometimes you will see that, oh, I sent in the request for the first quarter, I haven't got the money. And then came to second quarter, once I receive the report, I might make the payment for you for both quarters. You know what I mean? Sometimes you would see that I don't make payment only for one quarter. I make the payment for you for like a quarter 1 and 2 together, or 2 and 3 together, because according to how or when I receive your report. But like John and Christine asked to answer your question is, yes, we ask you to send in the request for payment in the beginning of each quarter. But then we ask you to submit the quarterly report at the end of the quarters.
I think that's what happens. I don't know if you could hear me, because then when accounting receives it, they get confused with the dates, because then they're receiving money in different days, and then when they're asking me to submit for the payments, they're telling me to put different dates, and then I think that's what's caused the confusion. But I got the dates down now. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Christine. I understand. Yeah, it's a little confusing, but the way I look at it, or I try to make it less confused, I don't really look at the date that you submit, because you can submit it anytime really. But for me to recommend it to be approved, I would go back and look at all the compliance of the requirements. And I don't know, it was written in the assistance agreement. That's how they want you to do. Request in the beginning of the quarter, then submit report at the end of the quarter. It said that in the in the agreement. But send in anytime. I can make recommendation to pay right away, but once I receive your request, I would go back to look at the compliance, and then when I can, I recommend it for approval. If that helps. And then that's why I think it might be a good way to say to you guys too that you should send me the quarterly report in separate email from the request. You know what I mean? Sometimes people send me, say, subject of the email said, request for quarter, request for payment, first quarter, something like that. And then you attach the PDF to me, but that PDF had the report from the last quarter and the report from the previous quarter and the year-end report and the request for payment all together in that one email. So it's hard for me, sometimes it got confused that, oh, this is a request, I put it in the request pile, but then I might not see the report because it came in as the request for payment email. You know what I mean? So if we can separate that, send in the request for payment in the beginning of the quarter and attach to me in the email only the request form, and then send in the report at the end of the quarter and attach into that email just the report. That will help to not to prevent things to slip through where I couldn't find them because I didn't know they were in that email. If that help. So these are all the forms that we provide you on the website, include the job description responsibility of the RSC, include the guidebook, the notice that we send out. They might not all link from here, but they link to here. They link from here. If you click this link, it takes you to the program page here under DOH website, take you directly to the RSC page. And from there, you can get to all the form from here. Okay. Anything else? Now, I think I have explained all the thing in there in the slide that I wanted to bring up to you guys today. If you have any questions you want to ask for both of these programs, please feel free. You can unmute yourself and ask, or you can write in the chat. Now I have a chance to go into look at the chat. Who's that? Caroline Ramming?
Yes, I have a question. I have a turnover in my property, and I have someone coming in that has a lot of financial need, and she would qualify for the ERAP funds that two people who moved out are not using at this time. How would I notify you?
That might be a problem because per the notice that we sent out, we allow you to replace the spot for ERAP, but we cannot allow you to fill that spot with the new move-in resident. Is she a new move-in or is she already?
Yeah. No, she's new.
Yeah. You might not be able to do that because I think when we send out the notice long, say the previous one 7 years ago or 10 years ago, when we told you that you cannot refill the spot, when you accept the new move-in, that one of the eligibility criteria for the resident, for the tenant to move in, they have to be able to demonstrate the ability to pay base rent. So, you know, we kind of like don't let them expect that they can come in and just get subsidy. They have to be able to demonstrate that they can pay the base rent, whatever rent you ask for, before they can move in. So therefore, we do not allow you to replace these ERAP spot with the new move-in, because we hope that the new move-in would be able to come in able to pay base rent. The only replacement at turnover that we allow you to do now is the current resident that have been in the project before today, before this past July, you know, that they have been needing help all this time, but they were not able to, or there was not spot opening for them to get subsidy. So we allow you to give those people the subsidy, but not for the move-in.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, she'll be able to pay the base rent. So she could be possibly included in the next grant when we, you know, evaluate that. That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anne Marie, you're up next.
Oh, Michael, are you here? Where are you? People,
I'm right here. My apologies.
Michael.
Sorry, I was tied up on a legislative priority, so my apologies. I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you, Paula.
You're welcome,
everything
Michael.
I've seen in all the chat I've read, you've been doing a great job, so thank you. I will try to help you manage. I want to thank Penny.
Yeah, Penny has been a great help. Thank you so much.
Really. So I don't know how much more of your presentation you have left, but we'll keep going with questions for a minute. Again, Carolyn, I hope that answered your question. Anne Marie, you had your hand up. What do you need?
Yes, Anne Marie,
Hi.
please.
Hi, Paula. Thank you, Penny and Michael. Hello. I just was wondering who we would lobby to try and get more funding to the RSC program.
Oh, Michael come in
that.
just at the right time.
I'll take that. Anne Marie, you can and always should lobby your own local representative or state senator if you believe the department should have additional resources.
Okay, great.
We cannot advocate for additional resources outside of the governor's recommended budget.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Paula, you want to go back to your PowerPoint presentation?
Yes. Yearly report links does not take. Kathleen, I'm sorry, I just saw this question on the chat that Kathleen asked. The yearly report links does not take you to the form. Okay, the yearly report, it's doesn't have form, but it's the outline, you know, it show you the outline of the content in the report, what they want you to write about, because it's the narrative, right? So you look at the see, this is the outline of what they want you to write about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have to write according to this outline. So it will come into us as the narrative because you will write about it, but it's not the one that you fill the number in as on the quarterly report that you report the tally, you know, the number of each service. Okay.
Paula, there's a question in the chat. I'm sorry to
One more?
interrupt. There's a question in the chat
okay.
about what's, and I'm not sure that we can answer this question. It's not a question for us to answer actually, but I wanted to just address it. What is the average hourly salary for an RSC?
Oh,
That's what I'm taking that. What is the going rate for the RSC position? I'm taking that as what's the average hourly salary. I'm not sure that we can answer that question. I think it's a business decision, but Michael?
So that's a really good question, and it's one thing that we actually want to find out from all of you. So as part of your annual reporting to Paula, if everybody could please provide us what you're paying on an hourly rate. We do need to look at what we're doing with the Resident Service Coordinator Grant Program, not just here, but the Resident Service Coordinators under the Congregate Program, to see what in fact is happening from a compensation standpoint. So one of the things we're going to ask for come the end of the year, what are you paying your Resident Service Coordinators hourly, weekly, monthly, or on what basis? So you can expect a survey asking you that question before the end of the year. So thanks for asking us, but we're going to ask you to get the information.
Yeah, Regina, I'm sorry we could not, we did not have that information for you. But like I said in the previous slide, when we look at the purpose of the RSC and how I calculate the grant, every projects are different. You know, like every housing provider who received the grants are different, according to the number of units, according to the nature of the duties that you assign to RSC. So there is no certain hourly rate that we go by. So it's like up to each of you, how you make that decision when you hire. So if you want, you can, you know, email me, you know, when I send out the award letter, in the beginning of the year, you can email me back that you received the award letter, and you can tell me, you know, what you have been paying or what you are paying to your RSC now, you know, and we can collect all that information, like Michael said, and then we can bring it up and, you know, gather information for the next consideration.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to collect it before this coming July, so that we can do a little bit of planning in advance. One of the questions that was thrown out, and thank you, Stacy, we should be collecting rate and qualifications. The problem with qualifications is they're all over the board. We have the minimum requirements or roles for your RSCs, but some of you ask them to do more. So it may get a little tricky. It may be too complicated to collect. We'll start with collecting rates, pay, and we'll see how we go from there. Okay. But appreciate it.
Okay. So what do we say? Can we ask all of the management to email me? You know, your
Paula, we'll put together an actual. We'll put a notice out with a survey question.
Okay.
And have them respond to it.
Yep.
Okay. So rather than an ad hoc gang, you'll get something from us that asks you to respond. If you can, we'd appreciate it, because it'll ultimately help you guys in the long run. So thanks.
Thank you. One other thing I would like to talk about the report that you know, I think all of you might want to know. When the property, a lot of the property may have RSC in the beginning of the year, but then what to do when RSC left, or when you you know, were still in the hiring period of the RSC, and then you might not have RSC on site for 2 months, 3 months, and then what do you do with the reports? I just want to remind you that the RSC grant can be used to pay back to the management if management assigns staff to perform RSC duties, you know, like to fill in, giving services to the residents during those times that RSC is not there. Then you can provide a report to me, and then as long as you assign someone to do the work and you provide the reports, you can draw the grant, you can put the grant to pay towards that. But if you chose to not having anyone working as the RSC and not providing the reports, when our auditor look at your book at the end of the year and saw the gap like that, you might not be eligible to use the grant, and they might take the grant back, and you will have to pay back after, you know, they audit and found that you only have RSC for 6 months or 8 months out of the year. Therefore, you know, you cannot spend all the grant for the whole year. They might tell you to give that money back. You know what I mean? So if you happen to like lose RSC, they quit, they got a new job, whatever, that you don't have the RSC on site, you can assign the staff to fill in and still provide services to the residents and provide a report, so you don't have a gap. Because sometimes I have management to email me and said, oh, we don't have the report for this quarter because we didn't have RSC. So then, you know, it will be a gap show on your tally sheet.
The key is you do have to provide the service, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. On the RSC page, you know, we provide you this form. I'm not sure if all of you use them. I did not collect this form from you. It's the Exhibit B, which is the intake form. You know, when this is for RSC directly, when you have residents that you found that they want to use RSC services, you need to, or the new move-in residents, you need to use this form. The Exhibit B here is the intake form to go over with them, you know, what they need. And then you can, you put that in your tally sheet in the number of the service that you provide in the quarterly report form. This sheet will help you determine what services that residents would need. I think it's a very helpful, very good form for you to continue the job, because you can go over the information with them here. If they have the you know, family doctor that they see, and then you can help them with you know, prescription, or even connect them with the transportation to go to the doctor or whatever they would need. And these, you know, help you evaluate the condition of the tenant and determine what services that they might need that you can provide. So for each of the residents, each of the move-in that, you know, you talk to, you should use.
She got into a fight with someone that ended with that other person dying and being shot. Now, the security guard was also shot in the leg and is now recovering at a local hospital. Take a look at the video from this scene.
Oh, more shooting.
This morning.
More shooting. Oh. Sorry. I have to mute you guys again. So please raise your hands and unmute yourself if you want to share with us anything. But I just heard the news. Somebody had the news on that there is a new shooting. Anyway, so I was going over this form Exhibit B, that if the RSC haven't seen the form or haven't used this form, please go on the DOH website and, you know, print out this form and use it for each of the residents that you interview, that you evaluate as an intake, and keep these on file. I did not ask you to submit these to me, but from time to time, if we go out to, you know, decided to do the site monitoring and we go out and look at the file, we should see all these information. And you will, once you use this form and you interview the person, you will put it on the tally, no, not this one. On the Exhibit C. You know, Exhibit C would let you put in the numbers of the services of the residents that you provided service. But then on the first part of the Exhibit C, you know, you will put in the number of new residents that you interviewed, that you did the intake. Yeah, this is the quarterly report you submit. Up here, when they said for a quarter ending, you know, just keep in mind the quarter ending in September, in December, in March, and in June. So the ending would be September 30th or December 31st. Number of unit project here. On top here, the part A, you know, you will put the number of the previous quarter, blah, blah, blah. But then there is also, oh, sorry, part B is the one that you put in the number of the new residents. So then you will add up, you know, from the number of the resident from the previous quarter, and then this new quarter, if you have interview or, you know, have new resident come in, you put the number in here. That's when you use Exhibit B, you know, to evaluate and interview them, and you put the number in here. So I think that Exhibit B was a really good materials tool for you to use to get the number of the new customers, residents. Okay. So this is the last slides, and sorry people, I mean, to go to the last slide. To thank you for participating. The last slide is the resource for RSC program, and that's my contact. If you need to email me, call me, ask me any question, anything I can help. I'm always here to help. Is there anything that I did not cover in this session and you still have more questions for me? Anything, please email me. Email is the best way now during the new way of life that we are doing things more virtually, electronically. Email is the best way. If you call me and leave me a message at this number, the 270-8181 is at the office, I might not be able to respond to you right away. Nowadays we have to give out the mobile number, but email is the best way. Stacy, you're laughing. So I would like to ask management to please share information that I send out to you directly to your property managers, to the RSC staff, that each of them should have contact information that they can contact me right away or directly. And then, if anything else you have questions, anything I can help about this program, please feel free to contact me. And I'm not sure if Michael's still here, but Michael, we would like to let you know that you are our hero. you are like...
I am still here, and no, I'm not. So
I told people that you are the CEO, the CFO, the COO, the Iron Man.
and I'm none of those things. I'm just the old guy in the room. So Paula, I want to thank you. You did a great job putting this together. I hope everybody got your questions answered. Paula is available. Please reach out with questions. Yes. Everybody has my contact information. You can always reach out to me. But there's a lot of balls in the air these days with the legislature in session, which is why I was unable to join earlier today. And again, my apologies. I did want to be here to support Paula in putting this forward. Tawny wanted to be here as well, but she's got tied up. So again, I want to thank you, Penny, for being there. You're a great partner dealing with the portfolio and helping us to administer our programs. So thank you very much. Gang, you guys are on the front lines. You're doing all the hard work. We're here to try and help, and we want to help. And Paula is a great resource for anything. And I apologize for the dogs barking in the background. Paula's a great resource for anything you may need or any questions you may have. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Okay.
Yes, and if I don't have the answer, I go find answer for you. So please, let me know if I can help. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending today, and keep up the good work. Thank you all. Thanks, Penny, very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.